Ro Khanna just put the Epstein ball in Republicans' court. Listen to this. He just tweeted, "Why are the Epstein files still hidden? Who are the rich and powerful being protected?" On Tuesday, I'm introducing an amendment to force a vote demanding the full Epstein files be released to the public. The speaker must call for a vote and put every Congress member on record. Give this a like if you agree with Khanna here. And let me know if you think Mike Johnson would actually allow a vote.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Burrs or Belly Dirt Stranad. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload videos, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. So lovelies, I'm gonna be your today's host, and I have so many stitches to put up here, and we're gonna come up to talk about it. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
Hey, it's Joe from Georgia. So Donald Trump's Truth Social today, in defending Pam Bondi and about the handling of the Epstein list, you know, the list that now the administration says that doesn't exist. Well, the president says if the list is out there, he knows who invented the list and that it was fake. Well, he goes along the usual suspects that he says did things to him. Number one on the list, Hillary Clinton and her husband, Bill Clinton. Also, he goes on to say that Barack Obama and Joe Biden would have a hand in a list like that, because a list like that, they would want to put it out there like they did the Russian Steele dossier. So you've got people knowing that this list has been talked about by the Attorney General. And of course, now she says there's no list either. But the President of the United States is now going back saying, if there is a list, it was created by my enemies. So there wouldn't be any truth in it. Folks, what do you think? Do you think Donald Trump's on the list? If you'll give me a like, a follow, and a share, it'd also be appreciated. But this is like another fantasy in Donald Trump land.
It might be too much to ask for to imagine that the Epstein files debacle is the thing that finally shatters MAGA's belief that Trump is this anti-establishment figure, but I'm still going to hold on to that hope. Anti-establishmentarianism has been a defining political force since at least the Iraq War, and the Republicans have been way better at harnessing that energy than the Democrats have. This is because even though right-wing populism might seem like a threat to the quote-unquote shadowy elites or whatever, it's actually not. It is a movement entirely built around protecting these people. Left-wing populism is what they are actually afraid of. This is why the United States has a policy of consistently funding and backing fascists in order to keep socialism out of the mainstream. I just wish people would deploy their often delusional conspiratorial thinking towards the actual conspiracy that has been animating American politics since World War II. Do you really think that if Trump was such a threat, he would be allowed into the White House? The solution to elite capture is not to replace those elites with more crass and racist and nouveau riche elites. The solution is socialism.
You're seeing a lot of Trump supporters mad about the Epstein files not being released. It's not going to last. Make no mistake, the vast majority of the Trump supporters that are mad about this are not mad because they think Trump is on the list or guilty of anything. They're mad because they think other people are guilty, and some are genuinely concerned about the victims, but they do not believe that Trump is protecting himself. This is going to get spun, and when it's all said and done, when they eventually release a doctored up file or whatever they release, it's going to get spun. It's going to, believe it or not, be forgotten about. This is not MAGA supporters turning on Trump because they think he's guilty of something. There is nothing, even if Trump was on the list, they would say it was fake and added by Democrats. There is nothing that Trump can do to make his base that is still with him turn away from him. Nothing. Yeah, they're mad now, but they're mad because they think he's covering up for other people, not for himself. That's my prediction anyway. We'll wait and see what happens.
Well, Trump is freaking out. What's going on with my boys, and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, Maga, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Ooh, now he's saying that Obama wrote the files? Oh, you guys, this is not good for him. Anyways, files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with a Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more. Oh, wow, you guys. This is basically like a public admission that he knows he's outed, because if he's starting to blame Hillary Clinton and Obama, we know where this is heading. They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me, and now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, then why didn't they use it? He knows why. He knows why. They haven't given up on the JFK or Martin Luther King files, no matter how much success we've had, securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy. What a joke. Energy dominance. This is crazy. A safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons. It's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other American administration has achieved in over 100 years. You mean more destruction of the entire country? The country is destroyed. It will never recover. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020. They're arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. This is crazy, you guys. This is like a complete 180. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. He's literally like admitting every single crime he's ever committed. He's just accusing other people of doing it. That's what she is looking into as AG and much more. Dude, you guys, I think maybe Trump is actually toast this time. 1 year ago, our country was dead, and now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way. And yeah, hottest because it's 1,000 degrees because of climate change. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Wow, QAnon is going to lose their minds.
Mr. President, you released this statement and you want to know why it matters and who cares. Well, the victims care. We care. I'm maybe nobody, but I voted for you 3 times, and I've stated publicly that it's a hill that I'm willing to die on. Your Attorney General that you say is doing a fantastic job, she unsolicitedly and personally handed me a notebook with redacted, declassified files from court documents and said this was the first phase of what was going to be transparency from the administration on this issue. We didn't ask for that. We chose to believe that the administration was going to take the next steps in doing something about it, and now we're being told that nothing is going to be done, that it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, and it is still a hill worth dying on, because a society built on this level of deception and perversion is no society at all, and it's certainly not a republic, sir. So I respectfully ask you, please reconsider the position on this for what it's worth coming from me. I voted for you 3 times, but I'm not anybody. But I'm asking you, sir, truth matters. There's a woman in jail because somebody's guilty. There's a man who's mysteriously dead that we know was guilty. Who else was involved? That's all we're asking for. It's what we want to know. And somebody else was involved, and somebody knows who it was. So we're asking you, pleading with you. Please, sir. And God bless you, Mr. President. Let's do the right thing.
Breaking news in this Epstein drama, Representative Ro Khanna is introducing an amendment that will force a vote for the full Epstein files to be released to the public. If this indeed goes through, the speaker must call a vote and put every Congress member on record. Now, if you've managed to steer clear of this drama, I'm going to catch you up really, really quick in hopefully about 20 seconds. It's been an absolute week with this Epstein list. Pam Bondi comes out, says that there's no list. Dan Bongino gets in a huge fight with Pam Bondi at the White House. Original reports saying that he's quitting on the spot. Secondary reports says no, he's just taking a leave of absence. Then reports were coming out that Kash Patel planned on following Dan Bongino if Pam Bondi stayed with the Department of Justice. Then Kash Patel put out a statement saying that this is absolutely ridiculous. He loves serving the president and will stay with the FBI as long as the president calls on him to do so. President Trump came out with this big thing saying that there is no list and that the list was basically written by Democrats, to sum that up. Yesterday, House Judiciary Ranking Member Jamie Raskin called for a hearing to subpoena Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi on the Epstein documents. And now today, this amendment is introduced by Ro Khanna. Now, some are saying that the right is being caught up in a cover-up, and some are saying that the right is playing the ultimate chess move, that they're indeed making the Democrats call for the release of the Epstein files, something they have been covering up for quite some time now. I'm interested to hear where you stand on this entire issue. It has been nothing but drama. And as much as sometimes I just want to forget about it entirely, I refuse to do that. I told you guys I was going to update you with any type of update, no matter how big or how small. So be prepared for another one as soon as I hear anything. And let me know what you think of this entire saga in the comments.
You know, at first glance, this Epstein stuff being the thing that finally starts to splinter MAGA doesn't make sense. But when you think about it for a minute, it actually lines up pretty well. Trump positioned himself as the one rich guy that was for the little guy. I mean, it wasn't true, but this is what he said to them, that with the draining of the swamp, and that he was going to come in and tear down institutions. And that's a lot of what MAGA wanted to see. And he fed them a lie for years, that there was these shadowy figures that were out to get them, and that he was the only one that could actually do anything to make their lives better. And now, after about a decade, they're finally realizing that that's not true at all. The other thing is that this one makes them look really stupid for believing him, and that he is just sort of laughing this off, and then also saying, why is anybody talking about Epstein? Like, these people were all fine with the racism and the cruelty and all of those things because they thought Donald Trump was looking out for them. And now they're realizing that it's not true. He was using them to get ahead. It's what he's done in his entire career. And now that they see that, like, he claimed all this stuff was coming, and now all of a sudden he's, like, backing off and actually dismissing it and being a little bit, he's talking down to his own people for basically, why did you believe me, is essentially his message. It's starting to look really bad for him. And then, of course, I'm sure Elon's over on the side fanning the flames. But if you go on Twitter and see this, people are losing their minds about it. So we might actually finally be starting to see splinters in the MAGA coalition. And if that happens, get ready for a wipeout, Republican wipeout next year in the midterms and 2028 as well.
MAGA, this is what you need to know about the whole Epstein thing. I know you may not want to hear this, but it's for your own growth. So pay attention. We all know that Trump is a self-promoter. It's practically all he does. He big ups himself at any little thing, and he doesn't just tell the truth about his accomplishments either. Now, does he? He will tell the biggest lie about his accomplishments to big up himself while he is putting down everybody he does not like. So when you apply this equation to the whole Epstein files, tell me if this makes sense to you or not. If the Epstein files had anything incriminating against the people he did not like, i.e. the Democrats or any Democrats, wouldn't he be throwing that out there and screaming about it at every chance he got? He would use it like a hammer to beat up his opposition. You know it, and I know it. So that begs to question why the Epstein files suddenly disappeared. And the only possible answer is this: because it incriminates Trump more than anybody else. Any lies detected? What do you think?
I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024.
This is all going in the trash. I do not support Trump anymore. He's a liar. He's a part of the deep state. I do not support Israel. I will not be supporting him anymore. He's part of the deep state.
I'm a Trump supporter 100%. What Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino is doing, making that look.
We want that list because there's a woman in prison who never sexually assaulted a child, and there are many.
I want to remind you all that the man who actually got Epstein off of his original criminal charges in Florida was also hired by Donald Trump to work in his cabinet in 2016 when he was first fucking elected. The fact that you fucks have literally ignored mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence against Donald Trump for being heavily involved with Epstein, the Epstein Isle, on Epstein's planes, and Epstein's fucking great graces. And still, you voted for him in 2016, in 2020, and 2024 while screaming drain the swamp and that Hillary Clinton's the monster and there's these maps to pizza parlors where all the kids are getting kidnapped through with Epstein and getting on his plane and going to the aisle. But in 2025, when literally his fucking Department of Justice, who has done a lot of fucking covering up and misfucking handling of information and literally seriously fucking shit up for the American people, now suddenly you guys want to hold this man accountable? Now it's starting to fucking click for you? You guys are truly so fucking goddamn embarrassing, but I'm going to settle for the fact that maybe this will actually fucking fracture these maggots from understanding that everything you've been screaming and crying and whining and the liberals are doing and how mean the liberals are and the liberals has just been the truth the entire fucking time. Well, you've been blanketed in fucking lies and were indoctrinated into a cult. I hope you guys continue to burn your red hats and continue to stand up for the fact that this man has done nothing but lie to you and grift and get you guys to literally vote him as president, and now he don't give a fuck about you or your votes because he doesn't need it because he's literally going to kick our Constitution to the curb. I hope you all recognize the fault you have in this, and when the entire fucking country falls apart, I'm going to remind you it took until 2025 when you were lied to for the 10,000th time, and it came down to the Epstein files for you to suddenly actually understand what the fuck was happening in America.
I voted
that, and the Democrats used that. Hey everybody, if Trump was actually in the Epstein files or on the Epstein list, then why didn't Joe Biden use that and the Democrats use that to prevent him from becoming president in 2024? Why would they just sit on that information when they could have just leaked that part of the information and kept themselves covered so that way that he wouldn't become president?
Yeah, I know that when you are in a cult, it's difficult to understand how things are supposed to work outside of the cult. So let me explain a few things for you. Now, I can see from your hat that you are a fan of Donald Trump. And I know that people who are fans of Donald Trump think that the DOJ works specifically and personally for the President of the United States. They're not supposed to. The DOJ is supposed to be an entirely separate entity from the White House, from the President specifically. The reason being is that in normal times, the DOJ does not want to give the impression, does not want to even have the appearance of impropriety when they are prosecuting criminals. So to answer your question, in the normal times, like when President Biden was in office, there is like a 99% chance that President Biden had no idea about any of the details regarding the Epstein files. He's not supposed to. That's the way the system is designed to work. So that's the answer to your question. Now, I have a question for you. If you are so convinced that Donald Trump is not on the Epstein list, don't you think it would be in Donald Trump's best interest to release the list in order to prove that he is not? Oh, think of all of the ownage of the libs, right? Think of all of the liberal tears that would be flowing with which you could use to quench your thirst for months if you would just release the list and prove to everybody that his name wasn't on there. It seems like such an easy win for him. And yet, I mean, just think about that. This is the conversation that you're defending. Mr. President, you've been accused of being on the Epstein list. Well, I'm not. Okay, great. Can we see the list to make sure? No.
Hey everybody, if Trump was actually in the Epstein files or on the Epstein list, then why didn't Joe Biden...
How is Maga responding to Trump saying that the Epstein client list never existed? Well, see for yourself.
I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If this is the verdict, there's no Epstein client list. If we don't get accountability for the thousands of victims that were abused, then I'm jumping ship. And all of you should as well.
This is all going in the trash. I do not support Trump anymore. He's a liar. He's a part of the deep state. I do not support Israel.
I will not be supporting him anymore. He's part of the deep state.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity.
So this message goes out to Donald Trump and his people. I've been asked before, what would it take for you to not support Donald Trump anymore? I always said, well, it'd take a lot. I've literally made thousands of videos on this app supporting you, sir. So if you're deciding that Epstein is the bridge that you're going to burn, I got the match, sir. You're telling me there's no list after you told me there was a list. You're telling me that you don't care about these victims. This is a promise you made to the American people, sir. Non-negotiable. You've always been in tune with your supporters. Always. 100% spot on. Not this time, sir. You missed this one.
I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I am prepared to die on this hill. If Donald Trump is part of the Epstein list and why he has decided to pretend like doesn't exist anymore, then the war that I've been waging on liberals, I plan to wage on Donald Trump if he cannot explain or make sense of this soon. It's pointing to that he is implicated.
So I voted for Trump, and this Epstein thing is just insane. But I think it's showing us one thing, and that's our country is unified for the first time in a long time. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, we all know this administration is guilty. So,
you know, the situation we are watching unfold right now with the Epstein files is one of those moments in politics where, at first, it seems like it shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, there have been so many scandals, so many controversies, so much noise in the political arena over the past decade that it's hard to imagine anything actually breaking through. And yet, this one is different. It's cutting in a way a lot of people didn't anticipate. Let's just unpack what is happening piece by piece. So we have got Mike, a Republican, no less, tweeting out something that immediately puts the Epstein conversation right back on the table. Why the Epstein files still hidden? Who are the rich and powerful people being protected? And then he says he's introducing an amendment to force a vote that would demand a full release of those files to the public. And you might be thinking, well, okay, that is what we should want, right? Transparency, accountability, knowing who was involved, who needs to face consequences. But the thing is, the moment Mike did that, he threw the ball directly into the Republican court, because now every GOP member in the House, every conservative influencers, every pro-Trump loudmouth on the internet is suddenly in a position where they have to take a side on this, and that side isn't as clear-cut as it might seem. See, the entire Maga narrative was built on the idea of Donald Trump as the rich guy who was on the side of the working class, the guy who was going to drain the swamp, tear down the corrupt institutions, and expose the shady figures working against everyday Americans. That was the core pitch. It's what so many people bought into. It wasn't about policy spices. It wasn't about conservative values in the traditional sense. It was about burning the whole thing down, exposing the roots, and rebuilding from the ashes. And the Epstein story, it's the ultimate example of that rot. That idea that was this billionaire pedophile running a sex trafficking ring involving some of the world's most powerful people, from Nollywood celebrities to royal family members to politicians on both sides of the aisle. It became a kind of conspiracy theory glue for a lot of people in the Maga movement. It was a shorthand for everything that was wrong with the system. Now here is where it gets interesting. Donald Trump has long had complicated relationship with this story. Publicly, he distanced himself from Epstein, claimed he never liked the guy, that he was kicked out of a Mar-a-Lago for inappropriate behavior. But then, over the years, we have seen all those old photos, the interviews where Trump spoke casually about Epstein liking young women, the gays list from the parties they both attended, and it started to raise the questions about what Trump actually knew and what his relationship with Epstein really was. But MAGA loyalties ignored that. They wrote it off as fake news, as mainstream media lies designed to spell their guy. Because to them, Trump was the one rich guy who wasn't part of the cabal. He was the one standing up against the deep states, against the Nollywood elite, against the pedophile rings. It was always other people, never Trump. And now here comes Mike, basically daring the Republican leadership to prove it. Because if the files gets released and if Trump's name shows up in any compromising way, even if it's just in association with someone else who was named, the whole narrative collapses, and that is what people are starting to realize. For years, MAGA supporters were fine overlooking the racism, the cruelty, the incompetency, the endless grifting because they believed in the larger cause. They believed that Trump was on their side, that he was taking all those hits for them, that he was the one guy who could finally break through the institutional corruption and expose the powerful for what they really were. But now, with the Epstein stuff coming back to the surface, it's becoming harder and harder for even some of the diehards to maintain that belief. Because what we are seeing isn't Trump leading the charge for transparency, it's him dismissing the conversation entirely, acting like it's no big deal, mocking people who still care about it, and it's still the ultimate betrayal. It makes his followers look like fools, not because they cared about Epstein. Everyone should care about Epstein and the horrors he was involved in. It makes them look foolish because they bought into a man who told them for years that he was different, that he would be the one to reveal the truth, that he wasn't like the rest, and now he's basically struggling and saying, why is anybody still talking about this? That is not just bad optics, it's catastrophic for the movement. Because if you think about the physiological of MAGA, it was built around grievances, around the sense that there were these powerful shadowing force aligned against regular people, that the media was lying to them, that the courts were corrupt, that politicians were bought off, and the one man who could navigate those waters was Donald Trump. But now we are watching in real time as more and more of his own base is starting to realize he was never on their side. He was using them, he was weaponizing their fears, their anger, their frustration, not to build a better system but to advance his own interests. And this Epstein thing is the perfect flashpoint for the disillusionment. You go on Twitter right now and it's an absolute mess. People are melting down about this. The MAGA influencers who have bought their entire brands on conspiracy theories and co-adjacent historic are suddenly stung. Do they continue to defend Trump and look like hypocrisy, or do they call him out and risk alienating their followers? It's no win situation, and you can already see the splinters forming. Some are doubling down, saying it's a media trap, that the files are doctored, that is a distraction from the real issue. But others, and this is the part that matters, others are starting to ask real questions. If Trump is so clean, why wouldn't he want these files released? If he was always telling us he did expose the swamp, why isn't he leading this charge? Why is he mocking us for caring about it? Those are the questions that can unravel a movement. Because here's the thing about the authoritarian populist movement. They survived on the perception of authenticity. Once the leader is exposed as a fraud, not by the opposition, but by his own actions, the trust starts to erode, and once that erosion begins, it's almost impossible to stop. And this Epstein situation, combined with Trump's increasingly erratic behavior, his legal problems, his rampant speeches, it started to open those cracks. You can see it happening in real time. People who have been loyal to him for years are hesitating. Not all of them, not even most of them yet, but enough to matter, enough to shift the dynamic within the party, enough to embolden others to speak out. And when that happens, when you finally get that tipping point, that fallout is going to be massive. The Republican Party has tied itself so tightly to Trump that they can't easily pivot away. But if the MAGA base fractures, if a significant portion decide they have been conned and start looking for a new champion, or if they become delusioned and disengaged from politics altogether, it's going to trigger a reckoning in the GOP. And we might be looking at a scenario where the face not just loses in the next midterms, but a serious uphill battle in 2028 as well. Because once you lose your base trust, you don't get it back, not fully, not the way it was. And so while on the surface this might seem like just another Twitter controversy, is actually something much bigger. It's a reflection of a deeper fractures in movements that has been running on forums for a while now. And if this Epstein file debate ends up being the thing that finally forces those fractures into the open, well, that might just be the moment we look back on as the beginning of the end for a MAGA era. And make no mistakes, when it happens, it won't be because of a Democrat, it won't be because of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom or whoever ends up being the next Democratic nominee. It will be because of Trump's own lies and his own cowardice and his own disdain for the very people who believed in him. And that is the real story here.
And if you watch up to this extent, don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So please, one of us share your thought. Subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovely when I upload the next one.